Hi, I'm Michael Senoff, founder and CEO of HardToFindSeminars.com. For the last 5 years, I've interviewed the world's best business and marketing minds. Now my challenge is to build the world's largest free resource for online, downloadable audio business interviews. I've learned a lot in the last 5 years, and today I'm going to show you the skills you need to survive.
If you're not aware of personality management, if you're not aware of the incredible change it can make in a business, and that's not just a pie-in-the-sky, blue-sky claim, personality management is essential. It's the very first employee that they keep from leaving their employment. Now, when you're looking at figures like that, you can't hardly lose by using the program. And the harmony of the business, once this program is used and installed and used on a regular basis, businesses tell me their harmony increases. One business had their turnover, had it dropped by 50% in the first year. Even in the home, there was one couple, one particular thing that really I appreciated over the years. This is probably my favorite example of Pep being an assistant. A man wrote me, and he hadn't even purchased a registered version. He had just used the freeware version. He said, I've been married to the same woman for 30, 35 years. I forget exactly how long. He said, I didn't realize that I didn't know who she was. We both took the PEP evaluation, and I realized for the first time who she actually was. He says, we were thinking of getting a divorce.
Where are you originally from?
Well, I was born in California. It's called Fairfield, but I've lived here in Missouri most of my life.
What led you to True Software in the personality profiling?
When I went to college, I actually started out to be an art teacher. And about 2 years into college, the state decided to start cutting school funding. And, of course, when that happens, the first thing to go is art and music. So I realized quickly there was no future in that. And at the time, I had taken a math class. This was back in 1977. And one small, tiny part of that math class introduced computers.
Okay.
Well, that was the day when home computers didn't quite exist yet. I think the only home computer on the market was the Commodore PET and the very earliest of the Apples. And people didn't really know much about them. There weren't any computer stores. You couldn't go down and find a computer magazine on the rack. But that one little section piqued my interest, and it came just about the time when I was trying to figure a new career to go into. So I decided to go into computers. I thought there would be a future in it.
How old were you then?
I was 22.
And you were in college at that time?
Yeah, I was in college.
What was your first job at a college?
Well, I actually started working while I was still in college. By then, computers were starting to get known. The first of the Radio Shack models were on the market. And a new computer store had opened up, and they were looking for someone to teach their corporate computer classes.
Wow.
And by that time, I had pretty much taught myself computers. The things I had learned in college were just totally out of date because the whole market had changed. I had bought myself a home computer by that time. I'd taught myself computer programming and had already written a few programs, and so they hired me to teach their corporate classes.
And then what happened after that?
Well, over a period of time, I started working more in my own direction. In 1985, I came across the basis of what later came to be my personality evaluation packages. By that time, I had 3 months. I was one of those people, instead of just taking college, right out of high school, I went out to the work sector to start with, and then 4 years later went back to college and continued in college for several years. So by the time I was done, I had 3 majors, one in psychology, one in computers, and one in business management. So all those things together culminated in 1985 to me developing the first of my personality evaluation programs.
What gave you the idea?
Well, without giving away my trade secrets, what actually happened is that I came across a psychology database that was several years old, but it was amazingly accurate. I mean, it was one of those things that would just blow you away. It was done by hand at the time on a sheet of paper. And used a method that was kind of quirky. I looked at this system, and I started asking people about it, and come to find out, nobody had been able to computerize it. It was such a strange method of evaluating personalities in psychology that nobody could computerize the thing.
So it was a manual one. It wasn't computerized. It was a personality profiler, but on paper.
Right.
Was it used for anything specific at that time?
Well, at the time, it was basically used in the corporate sector on a very limited basis. I was introduced to it, in fact, from a person who worked in the HR field. And as I looked at it, I've always had a knack for being able to see things that people in general don't see, which is why I work well in the business consulting area.
Right.
And as I looked at this, patterns started to form, and I started seeing things about it, and over a period of time, I figured out how to computerize it. And so I computerized it. I altered some things to it and made some updates because, of course, like I said, it was several years old, so there were some things that were out of date, and there were ways to make it work better in the computer field. So as time progressed, I honed and refined it and added new information and updated it according to modern psychology and societal methods, and wound up with what I've got today.
At that time, in your mind, were you thinking that this would become the business that it's become for you, or were you more interested in it as a project and a challenge?
When I first got into computers, there wasn't anything available to explain how computers work. And if you talked with a programmer or with a technician, they didn't know how to speak English.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So the motto of my company right from the start was, I speak plain English.
That's great.
Whenever I wrote a computer program, it was designed to be easy to use above all, very easy to understand, simple to figure out. The use of the program would be very user-friendly. It would be easy to figure out how to make the program work, all menuized, and understand back then that was not a popular thought among programmers.
Right.
So I took the tech out of my programs and put in instead common business sense. When I first started in the personality area, I used this same approach. At the time, of course, there were other personality evaluation packages on the market. There were other psychology packages, but most of them were very lengthy to use. They were very complex to use. They were hard to figure out. They produced questionable results. And so from the very start, because of the way my business was already set up, I was determined to overcome those problems.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We'll get into this a little later. I took it and I compared it to some other things out there, and then by far, with your one-word descriptions or adjectives, it is very easy to use and very quick, and people wouldn't hesitate doing it. I think that is a key to your success.
I'm glad to hear you say that. You're kind of echoing what most of my clients say, too. And that's been consistently the case ever since I produced the program. So as long as people tell me that, I know I'm on the right track.
How long has Drew Software been in business?
I've initially opened the business in 1985, which was, back when Windows was just in infancy stage, just getting started. DOS was still very strong. I had a few computer programs that I'd written, and I thought they would be of interest to the public, so I opened up the business.
Okay, and what exactly is a personal evaluation program?
Well, it's kind of what the name says. It's a computer program which is designed to accurately evaluate a person's natural personality. The way mine basically works is that people fill out a form which contains 40 terms. I think you've seen this form already and tried it out.
Right.
And they respond to each of those terms as to whether that term applies to them as a person or whether it doesn't apply to varying degrees. And then when they're through, they feed the information into the computer, and the computer produces a 5-page report, which typically nails them on the head as far as who they are.
Why is personality evaluation of value in a business environment?
Every job that a business may have open or available has a personality that works best with that job.
Hi, it's Michael Senoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. You know, many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at HardToFindSeminars.com. So go right now to HardToFindSeminars.com, and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching.